Oh man, what a beautiful, beautiful song. And the vibe keeps on going right here on soundwaveradio.net. Now, our interview is about to begin. If I'm not mistaken, I have just connected with the Empress, Marcia Griffiths. What an honor it is. How are you doing, ma'am? Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. I'm giving thanks.
Greetings, greetings. Well, ma'am, you know, I've grown up listening to your music. Let me begin there. I am so excited to be chatting with you. And, you know, your career is something that has inspired me as an artist. And I must just say thank you for everything that you have done for the arts. Thank you so, so much.
I enjoy every moment giving everything I did to the world. Thank you too.
Now, ma'am, I wanted to ask you, as a woman in reggae music, I know most genres are male dominated genres. How has it been in reggae music as a woman to rise through the ranks and through the different decades of reggae to become such a legend as you are today?
It was never easy from the day I started. It was male dominated. In the decade of the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was strongly male dominated. But thank God, when I started at Studio One, which of course, you know, Studio One is Jamaica's Motown, where all the great icons, you know, I usually say that's where they graduate. So that's where I started. And fortunately for me, I met Bob Andy. And when I met Bob Andy, he started writing songs for me. And, you know, later on, we had a personal relationship. So because of that, as a woman, I think God sent him as a guide to protect me, because having someone like a companion then, all the other guys, you know, had to just stay far and look on, you know, because you're a young woman in a male dominated business and you're vulnerable. They're all male musicians, male artists. So thank God when I met Bob Andy, he was a great help for me, you know, but the struggle went on, you know, male dominated until like in the 90s, where we started having more young female artists coming up. And thank God I can sit here and say that I'm happy to hear that when they say that I have been their inspiration. So it's good that I could have inspired these young upcoming female, you know, as roses in the garden.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I mean, your influence is felt globally. I sit right now in South Africa, and your name is well known amongst the reggae community. Same thing goes in Zimbabwe. Same thing goes across the entire continent. Now, you know, a lot of artists, they think that when I begin my career, you know, it's always the idea that I can achieve the highest goal with the minimum amount of work. Please let us know, how much hard work does it take to be an artist as yourself? I mean, I know rehearsals and I know studio performances, non-stop releases. It must be quite a busy schedule that you have.
Yes, it is very busy, but when you have a God-given talent and God has blessed you to do a job, to do a work, to communicate through the medium of music to the world, to send good, positive message to people, to teach and to educate them through the music and to uplift them, the burden is not as heavy. You enjoy what you're doing because it's not easy being in the music. And this is a dedication. This is a responsibility you have to the world, to your audience, to send the right message to people, you know, especially right now in this time. This generation needs so much guidance, and it's We are depending on the music and the singers and the players. So it was never easy to really maintain a career, be a mother, recording, traveling, and we usually travel extensively, especially with Bob Marley.
Yes, ma'am. And now I kept on getting the theme when we were speaking about the message. And I want to speak a little bit deeper of the message in reggae music. Now, do you think that the message that has been in reggae music when you began, do you think that we're still on the same course now as the future generation? Or do you think that the message is getting kind of lost or diluted in a way?
It is definitely diluted because it's one good thing we know is that there's nothing that can change truth. It's one truth, one love. So even, for example, Bob Marley, all his messages that he sent in his music, they are now being manifested today. They are so relevant right now. We can relate to any of Bob's songs right now. So this generation is just a handful that is really conscious and a handful that is really trying to send the message, because that's the most important thing in the music. That is the reason why we usually say God calls upon the singers and the players of instruments, because we are the ones who can communicate through the medium of the music to touch souls, to teach, and to uplift. And this is all we have. This is our weapon to unite the world, the music. But I find that this generation is getting a little carried away, but it's a manifestation, It's more about the hype and, they're not focused and know that they're blessed to be in the position that they are to reach people. So if they're going to contribute, they should do it in a positive way.
Yes, very true. I feel the same, as a young man myself working in reggae music, I try and pack my music to be as impactful as it can be. I think my influences as yourself, Elder Bob, this has led me to try and put a consciousness into my music. But it does make me feel that when I look at my peers, that the message has been a little bit lost. But I know that when I look at you, the story has just begun, because I mean, recently you've just released the double album. It's such a beautiful project. Could you let us know a little bit more about it and what led to the making of it?
Which one is that?
It is called the Timeless
Timeless?
Double Vinyl Colored Album.
Okay. Timeless is a tribute to Studio One. I usually say that Studio One is like a reservoir of gold, endless gold. And as you might know, most of these songs that were recorded at Studio One with all these icons, these are the songs that will live continuously forever. Why? Because all those songs are always considered golden oldies, because the good ingredients that went into these music, we weren't thinking about money. We just wanted our voices to be heard, to express ourselves. So all the ingredients that we did all these music with were love, sincerity, honesty, purity, and a whole lot of wonderful ingredients. So comparing to today's music, it's like a hustle. A lot of people thinking only about money, so the message will always stand from then. It's like people would classify those days as old school, but as Barry Hammond says, it's the good school, not old school. It's the good school because you had to be blessed to be a part of that school. And even in today's world, you know, we find that this generation still has to go back to what they call the old school and take a little of this or a little of that. They have to sample things from the old school music, and you know, they can't live without it. Jesus.
Very true. Very true. Now, one of the lessons that I'm learning from you right now is about having the passion for your music. You were saying nowadays music is a hustle and it's losing the message. So for me, that speaks to the passion. But I would like to ask you, from Studio One, what would be one of the most standout lessons that you had learned over your time?
Well, it's all about love because Studio One, being in the stables of the Studio One then, it was a family affair. If Bob Andy is recording, the Wailers sing in harmony because those days we had just 2 tracks. So the music and the voice goes down one time. So whoever is in the studio recording it, if I am recording, Bob Andy and the Heptones are doing harmony, or Ken Booth, you know, whatever. It was just one big happy family. We never thought about money. We weren't getting paid. We just got one patty for the day and we were satisfied because we were happy.
You made me smile so much, ma'am. When you said the one patty, you just brought back Jamaica to my mind. That is
No,
such a beautiful image.
Oh, okay. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
Yes. Now, I want to ask you, have you toured in Africa?
Well, of course, I would never be completed if I never touched the soil of Africa. I am so thankful and I would love to tour more extensively all over. The first time I went to Zimbabwe with Bob, and I've been in quite a few different states, yeah. I came to South Africa, I3, when President Mbeki was there. I love it so much there. You would never imagine how much I love it in South Africa. I went to Ethiopia, Ghana, you know, quite a few different states in Africa. That's our motherland.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Wow. You made me so proud. When you spoke about all them countries, I was like, boom, 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 right here in the back. I would like to ask, if you had a message for the young girls coming up in reggae right now, what would you say to motivate them and keep them on the right path?
Well, it's the one thing that I'll say to them constantly. The only way, as long as you recognize that you have a God-given talent, because you cannot go and learn this thing. You either have it or you don't. But there are a lot of people in the music that are not given that God-given talent. But I would say to them, the first thing to do is to have good representation, good managers, because when you have someone representing you, you gain more respect. You should not, a woman should not be the person to do business with a promoter or a producer. You must have someone who is knowledgeable representing you. You know, that's the first thing to do. And we see a lot of people posing today as managers, but they have no knowledge of the business and it's just posting, you know. But I always say to them or recommend that they find a good manager to represent them. You know, more respect is given.
100%. And I really do feel what you're saying, that women, when they represent themselves, promoters and so on tend to try and take advantage of them. They may feel that they're
Definitely,
softer or whatever.
definitely.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I've seen it happen all the time. It happened to me. So I'm speaking from experience, you know?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now, if people wanted to find your music or follow you on social media, how would they go about it? Could you please give us your page's names or the links
I
to your
I am
music?
on I am on all platforms. I'm on all platforms, Marcia Griffiths. And you can find me on Instagram.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome. Awesome. I'm definitely going to follow. I don't know, everyone who's listening right now, soundwaveradio.net, you need to be following Empress Marcia Griffith, because if you're not, what are you doing on Instagram? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Ma'am, I want to ask you, top 5 favorite reggae artists of all time, who would they be?
Reggae artist.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, of course, you know my number one is Bob Marley.
Yes, yes.
He's my number one. And there's Jimmy Cliff.
Woo.
And there's Barry Hammond, Freddie McGregor. And, well, of course, I think Shaggy and Sean Paul is classified in the dance hall, you know, but they're carrying the flag and, you know, taking it to the four corners as well.
100%. I mean, in South Africa, I know a lot of people don't really know the distinction between dancehall or ska or reggae. So for them, like Sean Paul and Shaggy is reggae music. So they're definitely flying the flag, and they're flying it
Yeah,
well. They represent Jamaica and the culture
yeah,
100%.
that's true. But for the younger generation, I would say someone who has a consciousness and is really trying to send the positive messages, Chronics.
Yes, yes. I really love Chronics as well. His message is incredible. And I mean, his music is like it's beyond his years, to be honest. When I listen to it,
Yeah,
I really love the production. The songwriting is so powerful. You're quite right. One of the strongest artists of his generation right now.
that's true.
I would like to say thank you so much for the interview, ma'am. It has been an honor and a privilege speaking to you. I've enjoyed it to no ends. Um, I have to move on in the show, but I will be moving on with your song again and again because it's powerful. Marcia Griffiths stepping out of Babylon touches my heart every time.
Well, I just want to tell you to continue to keep the fire burning because music is life and we cannot live without music. The two things we can't live without today is music and food. So just keep the fire burning, my brother. And I'm looking forward to coming to South Africa very soon.
Are we looking forward to have you? I promise when you arrive, please let me know. I will be there.
Will do. And I would love to send you a couple of new release that I have.
Please, please do, ma'am. Wow. Enjoy the
Okay.
rest of your morning.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Enough love and blessings to my brothers and sisters right there. Love you truly.
We love you too, and thank you for being on our show, ma'am. We'll be in touch shortly. Much love
All
and
right.
respect.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Okay. Blessings.